Hey everybody, and welcome back to Mel's Board Game Room, and I am doing the recap of MelCon. So MelCon is a 3-day mini convention that I host around my birthday, and this year was on the 21st to the 23rd of June, and I'm going to be recapping day 2. Now before I get into that, I just want to mention that I do have a sponsor, which is Games and Couples, part of Oshrat Online Counseling Services, and they concentrate on couple counseling, utilizing a lot of board games as a tool to help couples come together. So I think this is just a really amazing service. I'll have their link down below. Be sure to check them out. So we are doing a recap of day 2. So over the course of the MelCon weekend, I ended up playing 30 games over 3 days. So it was really a really great weekend. And these are the games that I played during day 2. So the event took place at the Acme Legion. And this is a picture that we took there, and then friends of mine had brought balloons since it's my birthday, so it was really cool. Also on day 2, I had a couple of friends stay over at my house, so we actually started a little bit earlier before the event officially started at 9, and we kind of got up at 6 and played a few games before heading over. So the first one we played was Factory Funner. This is a game that my friend Carla purchased recently, but she hadn't had the chance to play it yet or figure out the rules. So this is also one that I own, and I've played it a few times, so we ended up playing it. Now Factory Funner is really puzzly, but it's a lot of fun as well. So you have all these different pieces of tubes, like they're cardboard tubing pieces that you would kind of put down on your board, and you have access to like the source that are different colors, so you have blue, yellow, and pink, and you'll have reservoir that'll collect what the machine outputs. And what you're gonna do each round is you're going to kind of take to, or it's kind of first person to choose is going to grab the machine they want to add into their factory. And that machine is going to require a certain amount or a certain colored input at a certain quantity. So if it comes directly from the reservoir, I don't know what it's called. But if it comes directly from the source, and you can collect as much as it wants, it doesn't matter. And then you have to create tubes that goes from the reservoir into the machine, and then the output needs to go into the receiving reservoir. So other than the machine, everything you put on the board to make this work is going to cost you $1. And then the machine, once it's fed, is going to produce so much money, and then the difference is what you can add on that round. Now anything, you can remove anything, but if you add something new, then that's going to cost $1. So you do the next round and you add the next machine, and you may have to move things around to make it fit, but then again, if you remove it, it's fine, but you're going to have to add new thing, which is going to cost you $1. So as much as possible, you're trying to work so that you can kind of add to the existing machine factory you've created so far. And then some of these machines will have color outputs, and you can feed other machines with it as long as you have the enough output to feed the machine. It is so neat and so puzzly, but it gets like your board becomes mayhem. And I think I have a picture where like we had built a lot more, and then trying to fit everything in, it gets really tricky. But I quite enjoy this game, and that was Factory Funner. After that, we ended up playing Ankh'or. This is a game that I had on my shelf that I had not played for a really long time. I don't know, probably had been on my shelf at least 6 months, I want to say. And so we decided to learn and play it before heading over to the Legion. And I'm really impressed with this one. This has a really strong Splendor vibe. It reminds me of that a lot, because you have the tokens, and on your turn you can draw 3 tokens of any kind. You think you can't take the same color twice though. I have to double check on the rules. But what's really neat is as like you have the middle board, and in there's little tokens that shows what the cost is for each of those tiles, and that's going to vary every time you play the game. You're going to put the tokens in there randomly, so the price is going to change every time. And you're going to put the tiles, and where the tile lands is how much that tile is going to cost. And you need to collect the poker chips, matching those colors in order to be able to purchase those tiles. Once you purchase a tile, you add them into your tableau, and you're trying to create clusters of the same color or clusters of the same animal, and that's going... If you get a cluster of 5 or more, you get a bonus 3 points. And if you get a cluster of 2 or more, then you'll be able to score 1 point each for those tiles. And if you build on second level, like a pyramid, you can go second level. You go between 4 tiles, and you can put a 5th tile on the middle of those. It has to match one of the color that's on covering up. But if you do that, you can buy that tile at a discount. Now, what's really neat with this as well is the board doesn't reset until you use an Ankh'or or an Ankh token to refill the board. And then you remove the last one, everything shifts down, and you add new tiles. So if you do that before the other player's turn, it could change the cost of what they were hoping to get, and then what they've been collecting now doesn't really work with what they wanted. That's happened to us a few times. It was hilarious. But I really enjoy this one. It was quick, easy to play, and had, like I mentioned, a really strong Splendor feel to it, but it was very satisfying as well. Then the next game we played was Escape the Dark Castle. This kind of made me think of Build Your Own Adventure books. You know how you play the game, different things happen. But it's all card based, and you have your character, and you kind of decide, is like, okay, well, who's going where? What are you trying to do? You can get items. Now, the artwork on this is, everything is black and white. The art is pretty dark. And you have the dice, because you'll be rolling the dice, and then you have so many dice, and then you're trying to get certain symbols to accomplish certain tasks. And it's co-op. You're all working together to do this, and if any of you die, you lose the game. And these are what some of the cards look like. So dark art, dark theme a little bit. I wouldn't say this was my favorite game played. It was an interesting play. But it's not a game that after playing it is like, okay, I really want this one. I think I'm okay with this. Maybe it was the lack of color. I don't know. The theme itself, it's too lackluster, I thought, maybe for me, but it was interesting, but I'm good. I'm good now. So, next game we ended up playing is Caldera Park. I was really impressed with this one. It really reminded me of Cascadia, but in a more structured way, because you get the board. And what's really interesting is you have these tiles at the top of your board, and those are the tiles you can put onto your map. And the map already has a terrain, kind of shows where everything is, and you take turns selecting in the middle board there what you're going to play. You could be, okay, well, I'm going to play this animal, or you could be like, okay, well, I'm going to play on this terrain, or I'm going to activate where we go around the river, or we're going around the fountain, or waterfall, or stuff like that. So you take turn kind of depicting what you want to add to the board, and everybody needs to do the same thing. If they can't do what you've asked because they don't have an open spot for it, or they don't have the animal you picked, then they can just put a tile of whatever they want onto the board. And with this one is you're trying to create clusters of animals, because at the end, the number of animals you have in your cluster multiplied by the watering holes that is depicted in that cluster is the score for that animal. So each animal is going to score that way. So you're just trying to create, clusters of animal and try to add as many watering holes as you can. Now, some tiles will have multiple different animals on them, so you can kind of have your cluster intermingle a little bit. And but it was really interesting. Plus, you also have like a climate card tile that you need to add at the beginning of each round. And all but one of them is kind of like a negative effect. Was like, you'll put this down and say, okay, well, you can't have wolves surrounding this, or you can't have this, and just kind of gives you some sort of limitation at some point. And if you play that climate card before you've played the tile, it could be that you end up having to put a tile there that doesn't fit, so you have to turn the tile over, and you kind of lose the potential animal you could have put there. I quite enjoy that one. It was really neat, really interesting. Like I said, a really strong Cascadia feel to me, but it was just kind of more robust. So that was Caldera Park. And then I ended up playing Expedition. So I purchased this one when I did like an order with Stonemeyer Games, and then this is one that I ended up getting. And I had never played it. My friend Ken was over from Sylvan Lake, and I was like, oh, have you played this one? And he was like, yeah, I did. And I was like, will you teach it to me? So we ended up putting 2 tables together because this one is a table hog. It will take up a lot of space. And it's kind of like considered to be the sequel to Scythe. Now, at the time when I played this, I had never played Scythe. As of now, I actually played Scythe last weekend, so I can attest that they are 2 complete different games. They really don't compare all that much to each other. You could and probably should own both Scythe and Expedition. I enjoyed both games quite a bit, but they play completely different for sure. I found this one had a little bit less conflict with the other players. We played 3 players. What will happen is the other players will be in your way. You need to try to get like once they move to get access. But it was really neat because you have the tiles at the bottom on the board, and those are face up, and you see what's there. And then when you go and move your kind of little miniature onto that tile, you can activate the tile. And so you're going to be moving different locations to activate the tile, but you also have cards that you can activate. It's a bit like a card building, and then once you've activated the card, if you reset the cards, all come back. The action selection actually was really interesting because the very first time you get going, you can move, activate the tile, and play a card in any order that you want. Now, following that, you're going to have to pick 2 out of the 3. So you can move and activate the tile, or you could play a card and activate the tile, or you could play a card and move. So you kind of select the ones you want to do, the 2 out of the 3. Then on your next turn, the one you didn't do, you need to activate again. Activate. So if I had clicked move and activate the tile, then in my next turn I'm gonna have to play a card and then pick one of the other 2, and then like that. So whichever one didn't get picked then has to be picked the next time. So it was really interesting, and that's happening until you reset you take a reset action. Now reset takes up the whole turn, so you don't want to do it necessarily too soon, but as you start running out of cards, because they're all in the activated card side, you want to reset because that's what brings your card back, and any workers you've collected to activate the card as well, because you can activate the card, it'll do the main action, but if you have the worker, you can do like the extra action that worker can do, and they'll be color specific to a specific worker. So you can do those, but then the workers come back to you, the cards come back, and they're ready to be played again. Now you also have the ability to complete the card in some way. So it could be that you're refining the resource and you would tuck it on the bottom, or it's a quest that you accomplish and you need to be somewhere on the map, and once you find the tile and you've accomplished a quest, then it gets tucked on the top, or it's an item that you kind of fully equip and then it gets tucked on the side. So it has like that really neat decision, like, because if you do that, then that card is no longer available to flip and activate when you do play a card. So it was really cool. It was really cool. You had to collect the resources, you had to collect the workers, you have the money, and you have to kind of explore the board and uncover some tiles and locate different things that you want to be able to do. I really, really enjoy this one. Here's some more pictures. This is a close-up, and then it shows there, like on the bottom, you have the icons of how you can, what's going to happen if you activate the tile. You have the little miniatures in there. That was super cool. It was just a really great game, and this is my player board, so you kind of keep track of your points on the side there, and then I had like some of the workers and different things I had collected. Some of the thing gave you points, so you collect those as well. And you can see all the cards that I had tucked from what I had accomplished. And I think this was at the end of the game. Super cool game. I quite enjoy that. Then we played Role Player. This is a game that I had purchased at Gobfest in the spring. And I hadn't played it yet, so we ended up playing it. We played at max player count and probably took a little long. It was a neat game. I wanted to play it after my friend had compared this to Sagrada. So he was saying like role players was this Sagrada killer because, and I mean, I enjoy Sagrada. It's like a puzzly dice placement game. And this one has that aspect as well, but you're placing the dice onto your character board and you're kind of developing your D&D character, and depending on the card that you get, what you're trying to accomplish. Now I'm pretty sure I came dead last here. You get a couple of options and you pick a card, and I think I was like, okay, well, I'll do this card, and I think I ended up doing a card that was a little difficult to accomplish because everything needed big numbers. So if I got a small numbered dice, it would really wreck me. Plus you had this other card that had like color, whereas like, okay, well, you're trying to put these colored dice in these spot, so there's other things that you're trying to do as well. We did play with a few expansion on this one, so they had a few extra things going on where you could battle monsters, and you had the big boss monster at the end as well that you wanted to kind of battle, and depending on how much experience you collected, you could get extra dice to roll in the battle because they had specialty battle dice. It was really cool. Role player, so we ended up playing that. Then my sister came over and she ended up buying Reavers of Midgard, and then she's like, I had played this one before. She said, well, will you please teach it to me before I leave? So we did. We played it. Now I'm a huge fan of Champion of Midgard. I love that game, and I had played Reavers of Midgard, I want to say 3 or 4 years ago. It was a long time ago, and I did not care for it. And I think what was the aspect that I loved about Champion of Midgard the most, which was like the dice battle, was a little bit absent in this game. There can still be some dice battle, but not always. Now, and this might be like my own personal issue with it, because this game has a lot of interesting things going for it. You have all the different locations you can go and visit and activate that will do different things. Some will give you new cards to be able to add to your crew. Some will give you different like abilities you can get. Some you can trade. Some will give you like resource you collect, and it's kind of you go to the village and you pillage it and stuff like that. Now you do have the option to be able to battle in most of those locations. What bugged me is you also have the ability that if you have the dice with the icon that you need, if you have the required icon, you can just go ahead and take it. So okay, well, I'm gonna go here, I have this icon, and this icon, so I'm pillaging this, but I don't have to battle it, I just get it and I add it to my stuff. And it just felt lackluster to me compared to Champion of Midgard. Now if I was playing this game not comparing it at Champion of Midgard, I probably would like it best. Or would like it better, not more than Champion of Midgard. Champion of Midgard is still well above this one. But I think it's because I'm comparing it so much to Champion of Midgard. This one has just left me a little blah. I wish what I liked about Champion of Midgard would be more present here, and it just wasn't. Now you have tons of dice, neat custom dice, lots of different cards, lots of resources. There's lots of interesting going on in the game. I don't know, it's just, this just did not fully do it for me. And I'll just show you my player board. So you have the player board, the different things you can kind of add to it, and the different things you can kind of activate, and you can store your dice on there, and you can have like a chieftain as well that's going to give you extra icon, or allow you to have one icon that becomes a wild that you can apply to different things. You're collecting food, you're collecting different resources. I don't know. I don't know what it is exactly about it that made it that I was like, eh. And I've played it, and like, it's not a bad game. I don't want it. It's like, I have so many games, like, and I don't often say there's a game out there that I don't want. But Reavers of Midgard, unfortunately, is one of them. Then after that, that was it. That was the last game I played that day. So some bigger games, I think that kind of used up most of the game. But do follow me on Facebook. My Facebook page is Mel's Board Game Room. I am also on Instagram as Mel_boardgame_room. I also have a podcast I do with my friend Carla called The Board Game Specialist. We actually did our top 9 games played at MelCon on there if you want to review that there. And then my YouTube channel is Mel's Board Game Room. room. So thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. Bye.